Is the B48 going to be just as good as the B58? This is a 2025 BMW 430i Gran Coupe in black sapphire metallic over black Sensa-Fin interior. We're going to touch bases on that with some pros and cons and the rivals. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and to start off, if you don't understand the engine code, that's a inline 4-cylinder and an inline 6-cylinder. Both are twin-scrolled turbocharged engines, and this year we're getting a 48-volt mild hybrid technology which will up the horsepower and torque to the M440i, not into the 430i. It's going to have the same performance. The front lights are going to be reworked, LED headlights and daytime runnings that go into the iconic 4 Series kidney grille with the active grille shutter. You get the gloss black elements, the satin aluminum surrounding it, and the lower gets the air pocket, front and rear parking sensors with a 360-degree reverse camera because we have the Park Assist Package Pro, which I would consider optioning this. I feel it should be standard because why do you go from Mini to BMW? That's the only two brands they make. Give us a 360-degree reverse camera standard. But house underneath the hood is what we're really talking about before we get into suspension specs. 2.0-liter BMW twin-scroll turbocharged inline 4-cylinder producing 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. We do get the 48-volt mild hybrid technology, which gives us an increase of 11 horsepower, but that's the total that you're getting in an output. Going into the M440i, we do get some increases. 4 horsepower more, 29 pound-feet of torque more. That's dropping the 0 to 60 to 4.6 seconds or optioning the xDrive at 4.3 seconds, increasing horsepower to 382 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot when you're considering this vehicle. Now the Gran Coupe, that's going to be the 4-door option. It's a hatchback. You can also option this as a convertible or a coupe design, which would be a 2-door. You're going to spend some more money, but upgrading to the M440i, you get a lot more amenities because the suspension has been tuned. It's also going to be a little bit less rigid. I've driven the M4 competition just a few months back, and I could tell a significant difference. The sound deadening has been better. They've also tweaked the steering so it's a little bit more aggressive and precise, but on the 430i, you're not going to be getting all those bells and whistles, nor will you get an M Sport suspension or a M rear differential. You have to go up into the M440i, which is the sweet spot. But for an everyday drive, this is definitely going to tick the box. Going against comparable rivals like Mercedes and Audi, you're going to spend less money here, and the performance is going to be better in the 0 to 60, especially because it's a near 50-50 weight distribution. And when you go into the 430i, this is actually the best dynamically speaking compared to all of the trims in the 4 Series. Flush door handles to keep that aerodynamics with the satin chrome that surrounds the window trims. So it has a low center of gravity, so it has more of a sport drive, even ticking the box for the standard 4 Series. An upgraded 245/35/20s up front, 255/35/20 out back, staggered wheel setup. The M440i gets 2 new wheel designs to make it look a little bit more aggressive, and they do the same thing in the rear. So you'll have the spoiler lip. LED tail lights is going to be standard. The rear of the 430 is going to get the dual exhaust finishers, and it's not going to have the diffuser, which because this is the 430, I wouldn't necessarily expect it to have that. But I do like the Gran Coupe because it's a hatchback, so you're getting a little bit more storage capacity in the back. And let's face it, if you don't want a 3 Series, you go to this. You're going to have a little bit more leg and headroom for the back seat as well as cargo capacity. But going back to the question, is this engine option better than the straight 6 twin-scroll turbocharge? I have to say that this is not going to be the best in performance, nor suspension or handling, even though the weight distribution is better here. But then you also have to consider about $15,000 of an upgrade. But the upgrades that you're getting is a significant difference from this. It's literally a different world, giving you almost full-blown M performance. Now, the M competition goes up to 523 horsepower this year. They've added 20 more horsepower, which when I did the drive to it, it was crazy the performance that you get. Under 4 seconds 0 to 60, and that really is the sweet spot for BMW as a whole, because you're getting a vehicle that could be under 6 figures as long as you don't put a ton of features on it, and you're getting performance numbers similar to an M8 for about 50 grand less. But it really depends on your wallet, but for me, the M440i is the way to go. Power liftgate going into 15.6 cubic feet of storage, and the reason why you want a Gran Coupe is because it's a hatchback. You get a ton of storage. Storage nook, you can move this up so that way you have the storage net for protected LED interior lights with another storage pocket. Split fold the rear bench. I'm tall, so I'm going to do so in the back. At a 60-40 split, that's going to maximize the cargo capacity to the 4 Series Gran Coupe. We need to go inside, start it up, so you can hear that exhaust note. 12-way power seat adjustment, heated front seats. This is all standard with the SensaFin interior. Manual cushion extensions for people like me that's 6'3", and memory for the driver's seat. The 4 Series Gran Coupe has plenty of headroom as well as legroom, and we get some goodies this year with the driver focus setup, the wood inlays, BMW's curved panel, 2-screen layout, heads-up display, auto-dimming rear view mirror, panel moonroof. The interior lights are LED, and we got ambient lighting. The center has been redesigned, as you can see from the air vents, and you'll have the design pattern here, which illuminates when you're at nighttime. The infotainment screen, 14.9 inches. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming, Bluetooth audio. Put it into reverse, we have the Park Assist package, which gives you the automatic parking, the backup assist, the 3D view, as well as 360-degree camera. Now, we don't have the gesture control, but you can simply click there, or you can use the iDrive and go all around it. This year we have the 8.5 iDrive. Click into car wash, shows the trajectory for the front. You don't want to scratch those upgraded 20-inch wheels. Working into the wood inlays, that opens up into a wireless charging pad, USB 12 volt, and here's the key fob for the 430i. The wood inlays come into play. Satin aluminum going to boast around it, the rocker, which was just implemented, and the driving mode select, which you have a few driving modes, and you can also change it to have the configuration the way you want to be as sporty as possible. It's going to be sporty here, opens up into a medium-sized storage pocket with a USB port. This is a redesigned steering wheel. I don't like this. Otherwise, I think they did a great job with the steering wheel. Multi-function, paddle shifts, and the gauge cluster can go through an array of different content in the center. You can also click the BC button on the stock or just simply use the roller here. You can do the same thing for the heads-up display to make it a different view layout. Now, when you're in sport mode, you can't change the design, but changing that now, you can actually change the layout here, so you can make it still sport looking, or you can make it more open. Harman Kardon sound system comes into play. The satin aluminum is going to brush into the dashboard, and it's going to be more sporty for your arms to rest. One touch up and down for the windows with a medium-sized storage pocket, but we no longer have a storage for the driver's side. And no power telescoping steering wheel. It is manual, which is also a con to me because we're near $60,000. Going into the back seat, just to show you, you have the edgeless windows, and that's the opening. I'm at 6'3", so it is going to be a little bit tight for me, especially from the entrance. Headroom isn't bad once you're inside the vehicle, as well as leg space. There isn't any storage behind any of the front seats. Third climate control, 2 USB ports, air vents, cup holders with armrest. And the door is going to get the ambient lighting. You get the tweeter up top. It's going to be more sporty with a pretty decent sized grab handle. You could almost put a smartphone in a long storage pocket with the beverage holder carved out there. Sliding into the center, this hump makes it a little bit tight. Once you're in, you're in. Sharing feet, butt, leg, and shoulder space, especially because this contours inward so much. Knee space is also going to be a little bit compromised. Headroom, though, still somewhat doable for somebody at 6'3". The B48 or the B58, I mean, there's going to be a significant difference. You're talking 131 horsepower more going into the M440i. Torque, it's crazy. 103 pound-feet. You're getting over a second quicker. Enough with stats. Let's see how she goes. Exhaust filters in. We got a lot of tire shine, but I'm still doing a pretty good job being able to hug the roads and stay planted. The hood stays nice and flush, so it's doing a great job with taking these bends in the road, especially the speeds that we're going. And open her up. Braking is good. No upgrades there. Visibility is fine. You have over 5 inches of clearance. As for the exit, plenty of performance for that everyday drive. It's definitely going to give you some excitement. Put it into comfort. Now you don't hear the exhaust at all. The road noise doesn't really filter in that much either, so the sound deadening has been improved well. The steering wheel, like I was saying on the exterior, I just don't like this plastic that's added to the lower, but I do like how it's a little bit easier to take some of these bends in the road. It just feels a little bit more exciting than last year's model. And when you're considering this is a long vehicle, I mean, it's a Gran Coupe. You can fit 5 with cargo capacity. It's a hatchback. It's pretty impressive what it's doing. Because when you drive the 5 Series, I've had a few reviews on those, it feels a lot more boaty, whereas this feels a little bit more dynamic. And that's why you want to go to this. If you're considering, I'll just get a 530 or 540. The performance is good on the 540. I wouldn't recommend a 530 only because the 540 is really the sweet spot where it's at. But if you get that option, it's fine too. Just, I can see somebody after maybe a couple of years saying, you know what, I want to upgrade and get a little bit more performance. But then the dynamics is not going to be as good as this. Now this is where the B48 or B58 will be used the most, daily use. Not going to be really track driven. And it's quick. I mean, it's still under 6 seconds, and don't get me wrong, for BMW specs, that's not usually something that I say. I like to say more in the 4 to 3 second margin, but when I'm thinking about pricing, BMW has increased quite a bit as well. So you're getting that everyday blend, you're getting better MPGs, but then on the con, you're not getting any upgrade in performance. You do have to spend more money in order to get that. And the 48 volt mild hybrid technology, it's good when you're going this route, but I feel like on the M440i, it's gonna have a little bit of overkill because the auto start stop on BMWs stop the vehicle around 5 miles an hour, in which you may not be to a complete stop. And then if you actually let off the brake pedal, it will re-engage the vehicle. So really you're not saving that much MPGs, but I'm assuming over the course of the lifetime of the ownership, you'll save maybe a couple MPGs. It's not something that's going to be significant, and it does give you about 11 horsepower more out of that 48 volt mild hybrid technology. The sound deadening is a lot better. The suspension is also a lot better. It feels more smooth. But even when I went into the M competition, I felt the same thing. I was just kind of blown away because I'm personally looking for an M competition. And one reason why it kind of put me off is I own a Maserati. So it's already a rigid drive. I didn't want another firm ride to a vehicle. But now the 25s, they're so smooth, it's night and day difference in the drive. Now all that sound that you did hear from the engine, especially when you put it into sport mode, it's actually the iconic sounds that come in and filter through the speakers. So you're not getting actual soundtrack from the exhaust. They pump it through the speakers, which BMW and Mercedes. Audi for 2025 has said that they're going to stop doing that, so I think that is awesome. It can be a pro and a con. To me, it's a con because I like to actually hear true exhaust. But if you put it into comfort, you're gonna hear some of the road noise a little bit more so. These are 20-inch wheels, but it is a lot more smooth. It's not as smooth as a 5 Series, but I would definitely say this is a better drive than a 3 Series, plus you're getting more interior space. Like I was saying on the exterior, I would still have to go to the B58 because you're just getting so much more value added, where here you're just getting the 48-volt mild hybrid technology, no increase to performance, no real changes to the vehicle. The lower center of gravity does make it feel a little bit more playful, especially on the bends, and because you have a wide rear track. But overall, you're just not going to unlock that potential unless you go M440i. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank BMW of Wesley Chapel for giving us this 2025 BMW 430i Gran Coupe for our car review. But with every review, I like to finish it off with my turn radius. That's going to be about 2 lanes. And we got to rock and roll. There she goes, aggressive driving. Now we're going to just put it into comfort mode. I just want to show you something that the B48 does. Does it have the lag? We're going around 34-ish. I'm gonna mash on the gas in comfort. And that's another thing that's awesome about BMW. The lag is very light, even going into the inline 4-cylinder. Now the straight 6 will incorporate a different drive altogether.